Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw that the market balanced above 41 to 43 and then broke out above the 47 to 47.5 area. And at this point, heading into the open, the buy side is dominant above the 47 to 47.5 breakout area. On the upside, we have the first area of resistance here at 51.75 to 53.75. This is going to be the first hurdle on the way up. And off the open, we're going to be watching to see whether the strength we've seen in the overnight session is continuing in real time. So are we continuing to see the other markets participating in the upside move? Are we continuing to see sustained upside momentum? If we are seeing those bullish signs in real time as well, then it would signal some directionality in the markets, and we could head higher into 56.5 to 58.5, testing yesterday's high. And then if we take that area out, the next zone would be 62.75 to 64.75, where sell side can still be active on first test. And then finally, the 66.75 to 68 quarter. So the main question is whether we are seeing signs of directionality in real time, or we're seeing a lack of momentum. If we're seeing a lack of upside momentum, then we can continue to balance and drop right back down into the overnight range. But if there is sustained upside momentum and we're holding above the 47 to 47.5 area, then that signals a valid overnight balance breakout on the smaller time frames, and then we can start heading higher step by step, zone by zone. On the downside, if we fail at 47 to 47.5, it would mark a failed overnight breakout attempt, and that would bring the 41 to 43 initial support zone into play. Now, if we're going down on heavy momentum, we still need to exercise caution at the 41 to 43 because it's not really at the edge of the balance. It's still a valid area of support, and if we're not seeing any major signs of weakness, then buyers can still technically defend at that area. But if buyers are truly in control, then ideally the market does not have to pull all the way back to 41 to 43. So we do have to exercise some caution at that initial support zone. Below that, we have yesterday's low at the 35.75 to 36.75 area, and then the recent swing low and essentially the current developing balance area low at 31.5 to 33.5. So that is a pretty decent support area where responsive buyers can be active on first test. Bigger picture, you can see that the market has just been balancing in a range, with the lows being right around that 31.5 to 33.5 zone and 35.75 to 36.75, and the recent balance area highs being at that 62.75 to 64.75 zone and the 66.75 to 68 quarter. So as the market has been developing within this range, our short-term bias and larger time frame bias has been neutral. So we do have to still be open to movement on either side because we are simply stuck in a range. But in real time, how the momentum situation is playing out is going to be important. Whether the other markets are sustaining their overnight breakouts is going to be important. And we do have to pay attention to that intraday bias as well, simply because we can't continue to balance within this recent range that you're seeing on the daily chart here. So heading into the open, how the market responds to 51.75 to 53.75 is going to be very telling. A breakout above that zone would serve as a bullish confirmation and bring yesterday's high into play at 56.5 to 58.5. At that point, we have to see if the market is exhausted. If it is, then that's still going to be a hurdle. If we're seeing strong upside momentum, then there is potential to head higher, fill the gap at 60.5, and then test 62.75 to 64.75 and 66.75 to 68 quarter. Both of those areas are still zones where sellers can be active. On the downside, the more important support areas are going to be near the bottom edge of the balance, 35.75 to 36.75, 31.5 to 33.5. And if you start taking those areas out, you can certainly test the support zones below, but that in itself would signal sellers in firm control. So those are the main thoughts heading into the open. Let's see how the market responds to 47, 47.5 and the pre-market resistance. That'll help establish the intraday bias, and we'll take it from there.